Welcome to the UpNext AI podcast. It's Wednesday, May 6, 2026, and here's what matters in AI today. OpenAI has released GPT-5.5 Instant as the new default model for ChatGPT. Reporting from TechCrunch says the company is positioning it as a faster everyday model with lower hallucination rates in sensitive areas like law, medicine, and finance, while keeping the low latency feel of the model it replaces. That matters because default model changes are where frontier AI progress becomes real for ordinary users. Most people never pick a model from a menu. They just open ChatGPT and use whatever is there. So, when OpenAI swaps in a new default, it changes the baseline experience for a very large audience all at once. According to TechCrunch, OpenAI is also emphasizing better context management and more personalization features around the update. But the core headline is simpler. The company says the standard ChatGPT experience should now be quicker to trust in high-stakes domains, without feeling slower to use. The important caveat is that this is still a company claim about reduced hallucinations, not a guarantee of correctness. But as product signals go, making a model the default is one of the strongest signals a lab can send that it thinks the upgrade is ready for broad daily use. The second big theme today is the business around AI services. Latent Space's AI News Roundup argues that Silicon Valley is getting serious about services as the next major layer of the AI market, and it points to a string of recent announcements in that direction. One example in the roundup is Anthropic's joint venture with Blackstone, Hellman, and Friedman, and Goldman Sachs described as being funded with $1.5 billion, with $300 million from each main participant. Another is OpenAI's deployment company, which the roundup says has raised about $4 billion so far at a $10 billion pre-money valuation. The broader point is that selling models is only one part of the business. Big companies still need help connecting those models to internal systems, reshaping workflows, deciding where humans stay in the loop, and managing deployment across messy, real-world operations. That makes this a meaningful second act for the AI story right now. The competition is no longer just about who has the smartest model. It is also about who can turn model capability into reliable business outcomes. And that creates room for a whole services layer around implementation, integration, and change management. For the research note, a new archive paper from Danny Hoang, Ryan Mathieson, Christopher Miller, Nasir Manin, and Ruby El-Karbutli looks at a very practical problem: how to use AI in high-precision manufacturing without letting the model make opaque or unsafe decisions. The paper presents what the researchers call a multi-agent knowledge analysis architecture, or MAKE, for CNC machining of aerospace components. In plain English, instead of asking one large model to do everything, the system splits the job into parts: routing the request, running tool-based quantitative analysis, retrieving structured knowledge, and then checking the result for physical plausibility, safety bounds, and provenance before anything reaches a human decision maker. The researchers tested the setup on a rotor blade machining system using simulations, inspection data, and deviation maps from 16 blades. In their 3-level tool orchestration benchmark, they report that the system improved successful tool execution by as much as 87.5 percentage points compared with an unstructured single model setup that had access to the same tools. They also report digital twin what-if studies suggesting the system could coordinate compensation candidates that reduce predicted surface deviation from the order of 10 to the -2 inches to roughly plus or -10 to the -3 inches over most of the blade in simulation. The bottom line? For high-stakes industrial workflows, the interesting move is not giving one chatbot more authority. It is breaking the task into auditable, physics-grounded steps that a human can verify before acting. Are you building apps with voice? Elevate your app's voice capabilities with 11 Labs. Their API is a game changer for embedding dynamic, responsive voice interactions in your applications, providing unprecedented realism, flexibility, and latency. In fact, you're listening to one of their voices right now. If you are a developer looking to elevate user experience with natural voice interfaces, this is your solution. Visit upnext.fm/11 to check out their latest offerings. First, Bloomberg reports that OpenAI expects to spend $50 billion on computing in 2026, citing co-founder and president Greg Brockman. Framed simply, that is a huge infrastructure signal. It suggests the AI race is still as much about securing and funding compute as it is about model quality. Next, CSO Online reports on a quieter enterprise AI risk: poisoned data. The piece says AI systems can be corrupted by bad data introduced through accidents, adversaries, or poor data hygiene, and that many organizations may not know how large that attack surface already is. And finally, TechCrunch reports that a 16Z crypto has raised a $2.2 billion fund. The direct story is crypto, but the AI angle is that even as some investors look for AI exposure, large pools of venture capital are still competing across adjacent sectors instead of flowing into one single narrative. Before we wrap up, a quick note. This podcast is generated with the assistance of AI and is intended for informational purposes only. All referenced articles, research, and commentary remain the property of their original authors and publishers. And that's your briefing for today. Full source links are in the episode notes, and we'll be back tomorrow with What's Up Next.